So in today's video, we're going to be looking at how your working sets should look in the gym. And there is 8 components to a set, and most people will probably be ticking off 2 or 3, but that should excite you because the more we can tick off in these components, the more gains you're going to make. And potentially there's some low-hanging fruit that could easily be remedied and allow you to make the most efficient gains. Because let's look at it like this. You're going to go into the gym anyway, whether you did the set half all right or really well. You still have to work hard, you're still burning calories and energy, and you're still spending time in the gym. So what we want to do with this video is get the most out of each set that you do so you can be the most efficient in the means of growing tissue. Now, a lot of you may watch this video and only be going to the gym 3 times a week. So this is even more prevalent to you that what you're doing when you're on the gym floor is going to yield you the best results. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Tom Sergi. I run the Gorilla Platoon, which is an online physique transformation program, and these are the level of results we get. So my promise to you in this video is by the end of the video, you'll know the key components to a set that allow you to grow muscle in the most efficient manner. And we're going to do this by watching a working set and break it down as we go through. So the movement is going to be a plate loading machine chest press where the goal is to challenge and develop the pecs. Now the first thing we want to think of is, have we set up correctly? And what I mean by this is, have we aligned the load that's going to be going over the working muscle? First, we need to understand what is the function of that given muscle. When it's your chest, the function of the chest is to pull your upper arm towards the center of your body. That's the most important function. So essentially to bring your arm from here into here. That's what we need to think, just with that upper arm. So when you're setting up, you want to think, okay, well, are the handles across just above my nipple line? Because that's where the majority of the portion of the fibers are sitting. I want to capture as much as possible. Imagine we are trying to fill a bucket up in a shower, and you, instead of capturing all of the, you know, the way a shower head is set and it like spits out water across loads of little holes. Imagine only catching half of it. It's going to take ages to fill the bucket up. The same as your position of your arm. If you've got it all the way up here and you press it, you're going to capture a little bit of the portion of the muscle fibers and also then recruit other muscles that we didn't want to do for this exercise anyway. So we want to think about the arm path, and the way you're going to fix that is through the height of the seat on this example, and also how far forward you have the handles. So that's the first thing to think of. What is the function of the muscle, and then am I aligning the movement to this? So with this, we want to nail our arm path. So when we're doing the exercise, I want to be able to drive my upper arms towards the center of my body. Watch specifically the upper arm now. Comes in, bang, pushes together. Comes away, pause, and pushes together. So when I'm doing this given movement, I'm thinking, well, here's the origin around my sternum bone, and the muscles insert onto my upper arm. So now, realistically, I don't need to think about pressing from my hands. I need to think about driving my upper arm, i.e. my biceps, towards my chest. And as a result, my hands will come forward anyway, and the load will move up. So we need to think, is the arm path correct for what we're doing? And this will be relevant to all different exercises. And I've got a whole range of how to perform all exercises across your body on this channel, which will then talk you through, are we lining up the origin insertion? Are we bringing the two of those together? Because if we're not, you're going to spunk that energy and it's not going to be going on the working muscle in the most efficient manner. Now, second to that, we want to look, how is the range of motion? So as you come down through the eccentric, are we going as low as we can, but not too low that you just collapse at the bottom? You'll see a lot of people chest press, they'll come down and they'll just kind of be floppy at the bottom. That's not what you want, because you've lost all the tension at that point. Remember, the goal was to stretch and shorten a muscle under load, under tension. It was not to stretch and then go floppy and then try and cram it back together, because it's just not going to work the same. Think of the elastic band analogy. You're trying to stretch it out and then allow it to bring back together under the tension. So we want to think, are we getting enough range of motion? If my elbows were too high, I wouldn't be able to go as far back. But because they're in the space that they are now, I can come down as far back as I need to, get that stretch on the muscle, and then think about driving the upper arm together. The next thing we want to look at is the speed that you're performing each repetition. So far, we've looked at the setup. Do we understand where the origin and insertion are together, and are they moving through the right space? We've looked at the arm path. Is the function of the movement being driven, arm across the body? is the range of motion, the distance traveled, are we capturing that? So there's the first three. And the next one we're going to look at is the tempo, the speed you perform each repetition. Now, as a rule of thumb, on the way down, let me just press this up here and then we'll go from here. On the way down, you're thinking controlled, 2 to 3 seconds, at least 2, but ideally closer towards 3. And then you separate the down and the upward phase by getting that pause. So we come down, 3, 2, 1, 1 second, and then driving back up in 1 second. Pause, drive. Nice and steady. We're always in control of that movement, whether it's the way down, whether it's the stop at the bottom, or whether it's the contraction at the top. We are dominating that set and we are all over it. Now, if you're doing all of those things correctly, the next thing to look at is, honestly, are you training with enough load? Like, have you actually got enough weight on there that it's fucking tough? Because if not, you are leaving potential on the table. Like, you could be doing more. And only you will know if you are really pushing enough weight, like let's be honest. So have you loaded the exercise correctly? Now, the beauty of using a machine like this is it's very loadable because of its stability factor. Like, I've got my full back supported, my glutes are supported. It's a machine that only pushes in the direction of the machine. There's no if, buts or maybes. I can't manipulate like my arm like I can on a dumbbell. I can only push it in one way. But for that reason, it is very loadable. I mean, when something is loadable, you can move a lot of tension onto the working muscle. So that's important to think. So when we're selecting our sets, sometimes it might be better to use a machine and that way load it up that little bit more than what you would have got when we're using a dumbbell. Now, a dumbbell is good for a stability factor, but sometimes you need both. Cool, yeah, you have stability, we develop that, but sometimes you just want to target only the working muscle, put as much load as you possibly can through it, and make sure it's a load that's going to challenge you within the given rep range. It will depend on the sets that you use, but when doing sets, I like to use a top set and a back off set, or sometimes on a machine you can get away with 2 top sets because you're not wasting energy on stability. So in a top set, you're looking for 6 to 10, and in a back off set, you're looking for 12 to 15. So have you selected the load that allows you to fail when you get to that point? Now, as we watch through the set, the next thing we want to think about is, cool, we've made it loadable. Are we actually training to failure? And this is what failure is going to look like. So as we get towards the back end of the set, the reps will start to slow down. Bit of composure, take a condor moment, comes down slow, and here we go. Now you know you're training to failure when your rep is having to be grinded out like this. What was that, maybe 3 or 4 seconds in the concentric phase to get that rep up? If that's how long it's taking, as a rule of thumb, you are training to failure. If your last rep is taking 3 seconds to get it back up, you're in a very, very good space. Now, what we also need to make sure we're doing, and if we watch this last rep again, it's very easy when it gets to the last rep to be like, oh, it's hard, and just like absolutely flare out and just spunk your energy in elsewhere. What you want to do in the last repetition is remain composed. You'll notice, this is the last rep, let's go to the one before. So we drive up, cool, we get the rep. Pause, we drive up, we get the rep. I know this is, I've got about another rep left, and you see me breathe and compose myself. I'm like, right, we know what's coming. Okay, it's at this point you have to switch on mentally because you're fatigued towards the back end of the set. You want to train to failure, but you want to remember the previous points. You want to remember the arm path, bringing the origin and surgeon together. You want to remember the range of motion is still met. Distance traveled wasn't shortened, so you could get that last rep. You want to remember that the speed of the repetition still needs to be the same as it was in rep 1. So to be composed and accurate with that last rep and allow it to be a muscle building repetition towards the back end of the set, we want to remember those factors in place when we go into this. So the final thing during the set is, were we composed on that last repetition? Grind, stay composed, drive the upper arm across the body, focus, 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 and then come in. And it's not easy, but of course it's not. But that rep there is the rep that would have actually built you muscle. The reps leading up to it were precursors, were prerequisites of actually getting to the repetition that's going to make you the gains. So think about this now. If you kept getting up to rep 9 or 10, but it was scruffy, it was flary, you weren't really connecting the working muscle, you just got it up and did what you needed to do, the gains coming off that are going to be quite minuscule. But if you can make the final rep as accurate and as deliberate and as consistent as it was within rep 2 or 3 when the load was easy, you're going to be in a very, very good space for building tissue. And the final component to the set will be, was progressive overload achieved? Now, to be clear, you may think progressive overload is an extra rep or extra actual weight on the machine, and it is. However, you may get to a point where to get that extra rep is really fucking tough, and you've been on it for 2 weeks and you just struggle to get a bit more. If that happens, what you can do, by the way, in this instance, I could add a very little amount of load to this, let's say 2.5 pounds, 5 kilos to the whole thing, and then get the same amount of reps. And that way I've shifted just a touch more load. Overall volume is up, but it wasn't as much as having to shift 230 pounds again for another rep, because that's a lot of more distance. So you've got that option. Let's say you're also struggling to add more load. Even if you kept load and reps exactly the same, you've still got other low-hanging fruit that you can progress from. You've got, was the tempo accurate to what you prescribed it to be? Was it 3 seconds down, 1 second pause, 1 second back up? If it wasn't, the time before that you did it, go for it this time. Same reps, same load, but aim for proper tempo and proper form. Then the next point could be, well, last time I got 9, but the 9th rep was short in terms of the eccentric and the way down. Okay, well this time let's progress that and make sure we go all the way down. Distance traveled is a form of progressive overload. You could also think, was I really accurate with that last rep? Or did I flare out? Okay, I wasn't. Right, well this time let's nail down that last rep and make sure we're stretching and shortening the last part of the muscle. So there's other means and ways of applying progressive overload as well as reps and sets. They'll be your main precursors, but there are other means to progress from, and we're looking to progress all the components in the set, so you're ticking all of them off and getting the absolute maximum from the set. So that is it. That is everything. If you can nail all these points within a set, you will be in a fucking fine space of growing muscle. Let me tell you that. So if you found this video useful, subscribe. If you want to work specifically with me and get results like we do, then there'll be links in the description. But thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.